All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Discovering Multifamily podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Scandariato, here with Red Knight Properties. And today we have a special guest, actually a New Jersey native like myself. Vlad, you're going to have to help me with your last name, Vlad.
Arakcheyev.
Arakcheyev. I got to say that 3 times to get it right.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Vlad Arakcheyev joins us today from New Jersey. He's a real estate multifamily investor. He's the principal of Zontik Ventures. He has a pretty interesting story. He's also a realtor in New Jersey, and he used to have a W-2 employee, and now he doesn't. He owns about 500 plus stores in multifamily real estate, and he's got a lot of insight and really interesting stories to tell. So I definitely want to hear his story and how he was able to transition from his W-2 job to multifamily real estate full time, which is very interesting. And every time we talk about this, it usually hits the top of the podcast list. So thanks for coming on, Vlad.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Yeah. So tell me about your story. Obviously, you live in New Jersey. And what you were doing before you learned about real estate and why you're interested in it, and just tell me about that process.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I live in Jersey and I was a graphic designer. I used to make billboards that you see on the side of the highway.
Hmm.
And it was a cool job because the job was only 5 minutes away, like just few miles, the office. But then COVID hit, right?
Hmm.
And everything got stopped. I got furloughed and I didn't know what to do, right? So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be called back. Don't know what's going to happen, and this uncertainty bothers me because I mean, I'm married, have 2 kids, 3 cats, mortgage, and I'm like, we need to figure out something. And my wife suggested try to be a realtor, and I'm like, but I really don't know anything about real estate or anything. I mean, I purchased a house, but that's about it. Um, and I purchased it with help of an agent. And she goes, well, yeah, try it. You never know. It's extra income. So I got called back after a few months, but that kick in the butt, I really needed that. This uncertainty and don't know what's going to happen. So I started studying at night. 70 hours you need to do to pass the test. Passed the test, started selling houses. And the biggest thing, because everything was on an upswing a few years ago, economy was booming. I mean, the rates were super low. All these wholesalers were popping up all over the place. And I'm like, what is this all about? Let me see this wholesaling thing. I went to a few meetings here in Jersey and learned wholesaling, started doing that in addition to being a real estate agent and have a W-2. So, and then people were talking about flipping. So I started flipping few houses here and there. So I got really interested because there's just so much potential. Plus, it's really cool. It's really nice. You get to see different houses, get to see and speak with different people. It's exciting. And ultimately, I started losing deals because I'm at work, right? Somebody calls me, I can't pick up the phone. Or they say, hey, listen, why don't you stop by tomorrow at noon? And I'm at work from 9 to 5. I can't go. And I lost a few deals this way. And I remember this day, it was like Thursday. I think it was it's Thursday. It was noon. I got a call that somebody just bought a house, a flip right under my nose, even though we have an appointment to meet with the guy on Friday. And I called my wife and I'm like, I'm resigning. That's it. Just send me a resignation letter.
Mhm.
And I resigned right away, gave my 2 weeks notice, and 100% focused on real estate. So,
Mhm.
and then after that, we realized that you can't really scale as fast as we wanted to, being just doing flips and wholesaling. So we got a rental in South Jersey in Cherry Hill. It was
Mhm.
going well, but ultimately, how many of those rentals do you really need to have passive income coming in to support your lifestyle? A lot. And
Mhm.
they all over the place if you figure, right? So you got a bunch of single family houses, you got to manage them, or you have to pay a property manager. So it's a pain. What's the next solution? multifamily. So we got tickets to multifamily investors conference in Houston, went over there, and my eyes were just opened. I'm like, this is amazing. People are buying these apartment complexes, because I couldn't imagine, like, how can you buy an apartment building worth like 15 million, 50, 30, whatever it is? Well, easy, right? You team up the special things that you can do. You can do a syndication, a JV, you can do loan assumptions, anything you can to purchase this thing, right? And of course, you got to team up with people. And after that conference, on a fly back, I said, hey, listen, we have to be in multifamily. And for that, you need education, because you're dealing with just completely different type of animal here. So we started interviewing all these mentors, and we joined Jake and Gino. It's a mentorship group. And later on, we joined MIH, Make It Happen Mastermind as well. And now we're buying large multifamily in Texas, primarily in Dallas, Houston, Kansas, and the Carolinas. So in last year, I was in 4 JVs and worked on actually 4 syndications. Well, and this year on 1 syndication, we closed 20 days ago on 128 doors in Dallas. So it's been pretty exciting, because you see that snowball just start to roll as you get the first one. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's a great story. It sounds like it's pretty quick, your learning process. You haven't been doing this for too long, but it seems like you've learned a lot. What would you say was your number one, um, I guess I want to say work, whether it was work experience or the educational experience at the conferences, or just being in the trenches and learning as you go, would you say was the most valuable in order for you to, I mean, it's only like 3 years, and that's not that long.
Yeah.
So like what would you say really helps you get to that next level? I mean, obviously you mentioned um, you know, teaming up with people at these conferences, which is a great thing to do. Could you talk a little bit about that? If that's the number one thing that really
Yeah,
helped you?
in my opinion, number one thing, if you want to accelerate as fast as possible, is education and just connections. Like, for example, how can me living in Jersey buy properties in Texas or Kansas, right? You need people that live there or that already buy stuff there. So as soon as I joined Jake and Gino, I immediately contacted people in Texas who actually buy stuff there. They apparently had a group already formed, and I was joining on their calls. First, I don't know, a month, I was just like a fly in the wall, didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't know NOIs and any of that stuff. They would talk about underwriting, and I was just, just completely overwhelmed by all the information, because there was so much education. It's like drinking out of a fire hose, right? Everything's coming at you, and at the same time, I'm trying to keep up my real estate here in New Jersey, right? So I'm working as a realtor, and at the same time, learning multifamily, which is a completely different side of it. And I've noticed that I was picking up things better and better. I didn't know any terminology, so what I did, this is a trick. So I have a whiteboard next to me, and I written all these abbreviations and all this terminology on a whiteboard. And as I learned it, I would erase one and then erase one and then erase it. So that's how and every time I look at it and I see what it is, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that is now. So I would erase it too. So that's a little trick that helped me. But I think education is one of the biggest things that you can do to accelerate. If you want to go and you don't want to spend money, and I know it's a lot of money, but ultimately one deal can offset all that investment. And at the same time, if you think about it, you're investing in yourself, in your knowledge, right? You're not just buying a course or something. You increasing your skill. You're making yourself more valuable. And I understand it's not for everybody, but I think if you want to go fast and you want to accelerate, that's the thing. But some people they don't have the resources, or they are let's say attorneys or IT people or engineers, they have another job and they don't want to leave it. They like it. I mean, they studied for years for it.
Mhm.
You can passively invest in multifamily,
Mhm.
right? That's another way.
Mhm.
Instead of investing in 401k or I don't know, a savings account that gives you a 2% or something, you can passively invest with us, for example,
Mhm.
in multifamily real estate, get the returns and the tax benefits that multifamily offers, and actually buy a you can say, I'm a part owner. So
Yeah,
technically,
right.
that's another way.
Right. No, that's great. And so you had one transaction that just closed 20 days ago. So
Yeah,
congratulations on
thank
that.
you.
And you mentioned a few different states. You said Texas, Kansas, and then the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And you guys have properties in all those states right now, or are those just what you're focusing on?
No, no, yeah, properties in all the states, those
And
states. Yeah.
which market has been the best for you so far?
For me, it's kind of different because in the Carolinas, I got student housing, and I have right now we're doing build to rent, so we got 19 houses there.
Mhm.
But the idea now we're going to convert them to midterm rentals
Mhm.
for traveling nurses because there's a huge hospital right next to Boone. So we're thinking of converting those houses and actually not only helping because there's a lack of housing there, and at the same time, it's kind of a different type of thing. We don't want to do Airbnb. We want to do midterm rentals. When it comes to Kansas, it's Kansas City actually.
Mhm.
We have 40 doors there and some, I think it's like 5 acres of land
Mhm.
zoned for multifamily. So there's few options we can do with the land.
Mhm.
We can build it or we can sell it. We can do anything we want with it. So we're pretty flexible. But in Texas, I primarily concentrate on Dallas and Houston.
Mhm.
I like those markets. I mean, I look in San Antonio as well. I like those markets, especially now, because if you look at the economy and the whole debt and lending, how everything is, we want to be in I would say, safer markets.
Mhm.
A lot of banks and lenders are pulling out of the deals because they're afraid. I
Mhm.
mean, whatever the reasons are. So
Mhm.
we want to be sure to actually close. Not that we're going to lose money, because if the deal doesn't close, all the money gets returned back.
Mhm.
But it's just a process.
Mhm.
So we like Dallas and Houston. Like we just closed on 128 doors in Dallas and
Mhm.
in South Dallas. And before that, in November, I worked in a syndication with 419 doors in Northeast Dallas. So
Right.
I was pretty lucky to work with an experienced team, and they're more than happy to share their experience and knowledge with me. Yeah.
And how does the property management work? You guys have a management company that you hire?
This current deal, the team, the main sponsor is vertically integrated. At the role that I play, I raised capital for it, and also I work on investor relations. So the main sponsor is vertically integrated, so they have their own property management company. The other one, we use the third party management company.
Okay, so it depends on deal by deal basis.
Yeah, yeah. So far I worked with two operators only, um, because I'm very selective and picky who I work with. We need a relationship because if you think about it, you're buying a business, right?
Mhm.
And you're going to be in business with that person or the group of people for 5 years at least, because
Mhm.
that's the typical hold time for a syndication. JV, even longer
Mhm.
in most cases. So you have to really know these people, right? So,
Mhm.
like for example, if you're working for 12 hours and that person works for 2 hours, do you really want that person as your partner? Just think about that. So, um, my current team, I mean, I know them for a year and a half. We
Mhm.
met several times. We shared stories. We, had many meals together. We talk pretty much daily,
Mhm.
chat constantly. We do video calls all the time. We underwrite, I would say, 5 to 10 deals a week. So there's a lot of going back and forth. We know each other. We know when they're going on vacation, where they're going. So we really click. We're really connected. So it takes some time. Vet your partners. That's very
Yeah,
important.
no, that's important. And so you mentioned you have a student housing deal that you're looking to do midterm rentals for. Is that your focus for the rest of 2023, or are you still pretty bullish on traditional long-term rental multifamily?
Long-term rental, yeah, multifamily is the way to go, in my opinion, because few reasons. People need to live somewhere, right? So if they cannot buy a house because let's say the rates are high, even though they're not really high, they're higher. They're
Mhm.
not high. If you think, I don't know, 5 years ago, the rates were the same. Like right
Mhm.
now, we got agency debt.
2018. Yep.
Yeah, we got agency debt 5.6%.
Mhm.
We fixed it. I mean, locked it for 7 years.
Mhm.
So it's fine. I mean, you cannot compare what happened 2 years ago when everything was like 2 or 3. It's
Mhm.
never going to happen again. At
Mhm.
least I don't think so. So 5 is okay. It's fine. 5.5, even 6, because ultimately, if the deal works, it works at any number. I mean,
Right.
people were buying much higher rates. So if they cannot buy a house, then they're not going to go homeless. So what are they going to do? They're going to rent. They're going to have to rent. So
Mhm.
we always, in my opinion, I look for, nice, steady, places with a lot of growth. In my opinion, Texas is, you can't beat. Of course, Florida is huge. There's a lot of markets out there. You just got to do your research and stick to that market. But I like Texas. It's a landlord-friendly state, a lot of growth, a lot of jobs coming in. There's a lot of movement coming from California. A lot of people are moving there. So we ultimately like it. Yeah, I think long-term rental, I that's just me. And I do only multifamily. A lot of people do storage and RV parks, you name it. They do whatever. I focus just strictly on multifamily.
Well, that's great. And Vlad, as we wrap up this podcast, how can my audience find you?
Oh yeah, I'm all over
Learn more
social
about you.
media. I have a very unique name, Vlad Arakcheyev. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. I started TikToking, I'm on Instagram. You can connect with me, or you can go to zontikventures.com, or just Google my name. I'm just gonna pop up right away. But yeah, it's very, very exciting. Do not be afraid of multifamily. At least give it a try and see what it offers. And please connect with me. I'll be more than happy to make a recommendation, send you to some people that can, for example, if you're looking to invest in a different area, I can make a connection. But ultimately, a lot of people might think that how can that be, right? Because typically we target the returns of, let's say, 19% IRR. On the previous deal, it was over 19 IRR over a 5-year period. So these returns ultimately are much better, in my opinion, and safer than, for example, savings account. Or I don't know, the stocks are going up and down and you don't know what's happening with them. So it's the same thing as, instead of keeping your money in 401k, you can invest and let's say be a passive investor, get the cash flow throughout the 5-year hold period, get some tax savings, tax benefits as well, because we depreciate the building, and you do what you love. Let's say you have an engineer or a business person or anything like that, and at the same time diversify into multifamily real estate. So that's another way.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you liked what you heard and or saw today, please give us a rating and review on iTunes. That'll help Vlad and I get our message out to a greater audience. That's just the way the algorithm works. And we will have a link to Vlad's website, Zontik Ventures, in our social media description, as well as on iTunes and all his social media. So definitely feel free to connect with Vlad. And I'm looking forward to staying in touch with you, Vlad. Thanks so much for coming on.
Of course, thank you for having me. I loved it.
Excellent.